We're going to talk about the Civil War review. This is Abdullah Ghazi, General of the George Jackson Gun Club, National Chairman of the George Jackson Grassroots Collective. And today we have a special guest. We have the General and a lot of other people in here. And we will be talking about this in regards to also our national coalition contingency plan. General, I'd like for you to step up first and tell us how do you feel about Civil War.
Peace, everybody. This is General Sergeant Salahada. Um, just get straight to the point. The movie can be looked at from a different angle, from a lot of different angles, right? But if you actually look at the movie, you'll actually see that the movie is from the news media's perspective, right? So basically, it's from the non-combatant's perspective. It ain't from the person who engages. It's from the person who's actually, basically, in a sense, like not even victim or suspect. The person is going through the whole scenery, watching exactly what's going on around them, right? And it's a lot of loss of life. There's a lot of loss of compassion. There's a lot of loss of a lot of different things, right? But looking at it based on what it's actually telling you from a Civil War perspective, is that a lot of people, right, dealing with the public will be, how you say, coerced or pressured into engaging in something that's out of their norm. It's out of their scope of occupation. It's out of their scope of the way they see things. You know, most of us went inside the movie saying, "Well, hey, boo, 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 they're gonna blow this up. They're gonna blow it up." But the movie was really based upon being at the bottom of the end without the weapons. The news media people didn't have the guns. They didn't have the protection. They didn't have anything. There was no. There was no. There was no contingency plan. So when you actually look at it from that perspective, you have to gauge all aspects, mentally, physically, and spiritually. They didn't know where they was going. They had an objective where they wanted to actually reach the White House. That's the only objective. But in between time, that's the only objective that they had. So the journey there was very arduous. It was very full of strife. You had a lot of different things going on where a lot of different organizations had done took the disposition like it's us and no one else. So this is a lot of things that when you actually look at it from a Civil War perspective, based upon just the people in general, you got all these different factions. We got, if we say religiously wise, we got all these different religious groups. And inside those religious groups, you got separate different factions inside those religious groups. Everybody feel like they're right. You got the street element, you got gangs and stuff like that. Inside each gang, though, you still got different captains, different, and everybody feel like they're right. Then you got the governmental faction, and they just absolutely feel like they is absolutely right. So it's not just you against the government. In Civil War, it's damn near about you against everybody else. So without a contingency plan, without some type of unitary and formed um, coalition, you're going to have a lot to be up against, especially if you're by yourself, especially if you just with you and your family. Two guns and 100 bullets is not going to save you. So that's just my take on it. So it's like saying, why wait till the last minute to try to plan for something that is inevitably sitting in your face? If we count back 2 years ago, we had a potential end of the world scenario to where with COVID happened. We could say all the different things about COVID that we want to say, but what we can say for surety is they shut down the globe. Is that they let you off work and still paid you? You understand what I'm saying? So when you look at that, in a sense, regardless, nobody was prepared for that. Everybody didn't, nobody believed it was going to happen. Everybody looking for this apocalyptic thing to happen. But then it falls back on a smaller scale. This apocalyptic thing that's happening, but if you look outside, the butterflies gone, the bees are leaving, and everything else. So there's flora and fauna that you're actually, so there's a lot of different things that you're up against. That's how come it expands down the family, community, your tribe, your house. You have to have a contingency plan. You have to. Men need to stand up and be men, literally. Elsewise, the children will have a bigger burden that they're going to have to carry. so many.
During this, all right, and I like to speak on one other thing. During this time, there will be a lot of civil unrest, and people
Yes,
just out there for complete anarchy. People who just
yes,
want to be evil, you know. And an important thing, like you always say, is be prepared. And for the people who's not prepared, will be the most evilest people out there because they don't have nothing.
yes.
So all they're gonna
Oh my
do is
goodness.
take. Can you elaborate on that?
Let's just say you in your neighborhood, y'all done stored up the things that y'all need, right? Y'all done stored up y'all goods, your weapons, your food. You done stored up. But see that guy, those people that don't think that it's gonna ever happen, right? They didn't prepare. So when they go to the grocery store and the grocery store is empty, right? They're gonna panic and they're gonna remember you who was storing up the food, right? So I need you to really understand exactly the opposition that you're up against. Civil war is in-house, not outside the country. We ain't even talking about that element. We just talking about right here.
People will end up raiding homes of people that are already stored up.
Yes, they will.
You can expect attacks on homes of people that are stored up. So what I would say is this: also be mindful that you need to keep it to yourself, what you got in your house and what you got stored up in your house.
Most definitely.
When we say the movie, you said one thing too as well as we was talking. It was really light of how it would really be so far as the violence. The
Yes.
violence
It
was nowhere
was really
near
nice.
the amount of real violence it would be during a time like that. Could you elaborate on that?
For those who on the phone who don't have combat experience, right? Then you understand exactly what I mean when things go dark, right? And most people are used to most people are used to gunshots going off in the police car. Most people are used to most people are used to shooting and a lot of different violence in the police coming. But see, in the has been a civil war, ain't no police coming. You become the police. You got to keep what you're trying to protect. So that's the issue. That's because you got people, you got all these pedophiles. In other words, people be talking about the law enforcement and stuff like that. And I understand that the law enforcement haven't been the best of characters. But if you take away the protections of society, right, the lawlessness is going to go to an all-time high. Rapists, murderers, everybody's going to start hurting everybody. People shooting people for no reason. Right now, how they was going through what they were going through in Haiti or down in Mexico, how the gangs was actually taken to the street. Regardless of their reasoning, they still was overthrowing everything. And if you wasn't one of them, then you stand to be, how you say, a victim. Violence is
I would like to
violence, right? But the
go ahead.
psychological aspect of warfare is worse than the shooting aspect of it. It's far worse. It's far worse. It's the part that traumatizes you. It ain't the blood and guts and gore that traumatizes you. It's the psychological aspect that's traumatizing you. You don't know when it's gonna stop. Especially when ain't no police coming. Nobody knows when anything is gonna stop. So everybody feel like they're on their own. And no help is coming. So imagine the panic that's behind that. How will you
I,
respond when you see your family miss half of us are at work right now? Something happened, you got to make it home. You get home, no one's there. Then what? You got your farmland, but it's you and your wife and your kids, and you got your farmland, and everything goes to crap. But then you got to protect your farmland. It's just you and your family and kids. How y'all gonna stop 20 and 30 people that's armed? How? So the contingency plans has to be made. It has to be made. Elsewise, you're gonna lose a lot of more people. A pirate victory benefits no one.
I like to bring up one thing. Um, we have to bring up and this showed up in Civil War too, a barter system, where her money that she tried to get for the gas, she tried to pay $300 or whatnot for the gas, and they said her money was worthless.
You know
So
why?
what do you no no and my question is to you, what do you have to say about the barter system during this time so far as
Now,
currency and
listen.
things needed to
No.
exchange?
Watch this.
But
Watch this. Consider currency, right? This is where humanity. This is where the people have lost the sense of exactly what's going on, right? The currency, for lack of a better word, is back. The government uses that paper dollar. You could say they use gold, they use diamonds and everything else, right? But if you ain't got no stores, you ain't got no banks, and you ain't got anything that's backing it, right? How good? What you gonna use the gold for? What you gonna spend it for? So your bartering system is food, weapons, medical supplies. That's your bartering system. Because the only other opportunity after that becomes slavery. I hope you really understand what I'm saying. Human life is the only currency on this planet. I need you to really understand that. Human life is the only currency on this planet. A poor man says he has $100 million. A rich man says he owns 100 million people. Politics, religion, and the media governs the people, and the people need to start governing themselves. If they govern themselves, they can act. Now, this is where the barter system come in at with a contingency plan. Because outside of that, you trying to get some gas. The women don't understand that rape becomes an all-time high. You ain't gotta be killed. Brutal rape will actually change your mind. Waterboarding you will change your mind, regardless of how the people will trade their children for food. I really need you to understand that. People will give their babies up for food because the gold is no good, the dollar is no good. There's nowhere to spend it. Where? At the store? Where you gonna spend it at? The gold. What you gonna do with the gold? Walk around and weigh yourself down? What are you gonna do with it? The silver? People are thinking that this is gonna be the value book. Now, if the system restarts, that's different. But other than that, it becomes useless because there's no system in place to actually use it.
I like that. Like I said, discussing the barter system, what people think is valuable, that's not really valuable at all during a time of pandemonium, chaos, and crisis. Um, so far as prepping and self-defense, how that relates and correlates to that. The biggest question that we ask everybody is, what is your contingency plan and where you're gonna go? What do you have to say about that,
Right.
General?
That's the biggest thing. We got a lot of organizations all around this country. We got organizations for protection. We have a lot of organizations scattered abroad, right? But the biggest issue still, where are you going? During the time of civil strife, people become nomadic. If you don't have at least enough people to defend the homestead, right? Mind you, it's 400 million people in this country. So you're gonna have to have at least a couple of hundred people to defend a homestead. So my thing is, if you don't have that, what contingency can work? Right now, prime example. This is what I'm talking about. All the organizations we got, 90%, and I'm saying that's the smallest number. 90% of the people, right, live more than 5 miles from each other. In the advent of civil strife, the grid falls. There's no power, no cell phone, no transportation, no none of that. This is the thing, but a lot of people like it. So you're gonna have to walk. Where are you going? What contingency plan has your organization take to listen? Check this out. This is the grid square right here. These are the coordinates. This is where we're gonna meet up at. This is plan A. This is plan B. This is where you take your family to. Where are you going? This is the biggest issue that I see amongst all of our groups. Nobody wants to discuss that part. That's the most uncomfortable conversation because right now, if you're out of town, if you're in a half, our kids is living in other states. Half our families live in other states. What contingency plan, when you open up a map, have you made said, this right here is where we going? This right here is a place of refuge. This right here is a place of refuge. And when we think places of refuge, your places of refuge has to provide the basic necessities: food, water, clothing, shelter, and medicine. That's what a place of refuge has to provide for you. So these are the things that should be taken into consideration when storing up the things. Even when you look inside your bug-out bag, food, water, clothes, shelter, everything inside your bug-out bag, whether it's a 3 day or more. You can't walk around with 5,000 pounds on your back. Just the reality of it. But you do know that you got enough time to get from point A to point B. This is the issue. Where are you going? Now, who you going with? How you going to get there? When you leaving? But that world, you got to have a destination, or it's going to take you forever to get where you're going, if you ever get there, especially when you got children involved. And you can't travel at the same speed that you want to when we got these little babies with us. You cannot keep what you can't protect.
You cannot keep what you can't protect. As the general said, you cannot keep what you can't protect. So one of the most important things is creating a contingency plan and an infrastructure, homesteads, a network, a united front of people. And most definitely what me and you talked about, General, also as well, is the emergency maps. Could you explain the emergency maps, please?
Okay. Let's just say everybody got a this kind of map for me to use is the U.S. road map, right? Because it has the rail system on it. There you go. It has the rail system on it. The rail system goes everywhere, all over the country, over, around, underwater, everything, right? So, when looking at that map system, the terrain features, high altitude, low altitude, common places where if you have somebody was chasing you to where you can get the upper hand, these things have to be taken into consideration because you just can't just stop and fight. You can put yourself in a custard last stand position if you want to. You're gonna lose everything. So you got your roadmap and everything inside. I'm gonna use an example. Inside my maps, everything that got a dot on it that's black is land. Everything that got this green dot on it, that's food. Everything that's got a red dot on it, that's weapons. So in looking at that, right, and looking at this map, a lot of us travel and go different places, right? We got all these different natural reserves. You know the primary reason behind all these natural reserves all throughout the country from a military standpoint is because they have the potential to be places of refuge. Did y'all know that? That's like saying if I stand in front of a flag at any federal building, put my back to it, I go 45 degrees to my right, within a mile is a hospital. To my left, there's an armory where I get weapons from. If I go straight ahead, there's a medical facility. I really need y'all to understand exactly what I just said. It's already strategic from the military standpoint. You have to know where you're going.
We got a question real quick from the doctor. Go ahead, doctor.
It wasn't necessarily a question as much as I was talking about this last night with the team, and we were literally discussing commandeering a place. So you can either locate a hospital or locate a place that you've all agreed upon within a central location and just commandeer that place and then provide a militia around that structure.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's that place. That's that place of refuge. There's been you get what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
That's that place of refuge. I totally agree. Totally agree. It has to be established. So, and see, right now, because we scattered around the country, we should have them everywhere. We basically these places of refuge would be our garrisons all around the country. No matter what your organization is, all of us is geared to protect the people. So all the differences inside, the little smaller technicalities, all that goes out the window when it starts raining hard.
And I like to add in, just like the comrade said from the Huey P. Newton. As we can see in this group so far right now, we have Huey P. Newton, George Jackson Gun Club, El Geronimo Pratt in the building, Black Star Alliance, and a couple other few individuals. There's no reason why, as us representing the vanguard and people that protect the people, that we shouldn't have no infrastructure in each one of our chapters in each one of our states and cities. This is how we organize. This is how we build. And not only that, we need to be most definitely unifying and connected and correlating with one another just in case something happens. This is
Listen.
the whole point of the RPG movement. Go ahead.
Listen. Even if you have a training and people can't show up, at least the lieutenants, one of the spokesmen from the various groups, should actually show up. So it's like saying, if you got something that we can't actually go, then somebody from it, they can come back and train the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
It
sir.
has to be a common. It has to be a common ground. Because I'm gonna tell you what happens if not. What normally happens when things like that happen is the organizations begin the way they begin, and then all else hits the fan, and everybody feels like that their organization is the organization. Then you got a whole bunch of bumping heads, right? And then that starts a war again. In it.
Right. And that's what we don't need, a whole bunch of people competing with one another. And later on at the end, like you said, it'll be a war against each other. And that's not productive. That's not progressive at all.
You know,
That's anti
and I'm
what
gonna tell
we're
you
all
what's funny.
about.
And I'm gonna tell you what's funny, right? If you look at the movie Alexander, right? That's actually how Alexander conquered what he conquered. Because he waited because they knew that they outnumbered the people themselves. But he waited until the people started fighting against themselves first before he began to attack. And it was over after that.
And just like you brought up Alexander, I mean, on a positive note, how some of the goals did, they united with all their people that was fighting against each other to fight the greater enemy, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how they was able to conquer, you know, enemies. But this in-house fighting and petty stuff, that needs to end, especially this petty things. But we're not going to go deep into that.
It's
But
the wagon itself.
during a time
It's the
like
wagon
this,
itself.
during this time right now, we should be politically mature enough to understand who the real enemy is and what we need to do and how we need to organize. That's what I can say.
You know, I laugh at that, right? Because from what I see, there's only one enemy, right? You know who the
Right?
enemy is? Whoever is the enemy, no matter what it is.
Right?
I need you to really look at that. Whoever's the enemy, no matter what it is. It's not a how you say injustice is blind.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have just as many non-melanated people helping you or against you as just as many melanated people helping you against you. You got your street factions that's gonna feel like, hey, it's not us now. Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like that. So the
Well, I'm
civil
happy.
war is a war. Well, let me slow down,
I'm happy you brought that
So
up.
we
I'm
you.
happy you brought that up. I'm happy you brought that up real quick, and we could touch on it. Just like the
Mhm.
man on the flyer with the red glasses
Mhm.
on the movie. In the movie, he asked the kid, he asked the people, "What type of American are you?"
What type of American are
You
you?
know. So, you
Didn't
know,
start shooting.
and I want to say real quick, most definitely, I believe my beliefs is most definitely, the real enemy. I'm not gonna say on this recorded line who it is, and it's
Right,
bigger
right,
than
right.
color. It's bigger than color. I would say most
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But when there's a
It's bigger than
but when
Biden,
there's a
right?
yeah, it's bigger. It's bigger. We can all agree on that.
Mhm.
We're all politically mature enough in here to know that. But when it comes to a process of elimination with a bunch of ignorant folks on the below ground level, you know,
Yep.
we got to watch out for that as well, during a time like that, because they're going to ask that question: what type of American are you? And if you say you knew
Yep.
African, you got to be
Yep.
careful. Or if you say you a Moor
But you,
or a
but you,
Hebrew
but,
or a black Hebrew
but
Israelite, in some places,
you know the beautiful,
you got to watch
you know
out.
the beautiful part of it. You know, the beautiful
Right.
part of it is being able to understand behavior, right? Because anybody can pretend to be wrong.
Right.
Everybody can pretend to be right. At some
Right.
point, it shows. And that's how come
Yes,
you have
sir.
your observers among you have your observers among your faction. Their job is only to observe. That's it.
Yes,
Without
sir.
bias. That's all their job is. Their job is not to engage or anything. They only have to observe.
Yes, sir.
It could be
Doctor, did you?
women. It could be older children. It could be women. But this is from a tactical perspective. Being able to actually let them sit and watch, so they can relay their listen. We got a problem.
Yes, sir. Doctor, did you have your hand up, or did you? Do you have another question, Doctor?
My apologies, I forgot to lower it. I just put it in the chat. Just basically saying
Okay.
you got to have your bug out bag, and you got to have an idea of where you're going, and then this, and in addition to that, though, you need an inventory list of your weapons
Yes, you
and
do.
your ammunition and your firearms so that everybody can get an idea of what everybody has at that time. And thinking the last part of it was the generals and commanders of different organizations need to have some type of a contact list because your one organization isn't going to cut it.
That's right. That's right.
It's not going to cut
That's
Right.
it.
right.
So that's
No, it's
why
not.
we
That's
need,
right.
right. So that's why each organization, the generals and commanders, because if a general is gone for whatever reason, commanders have to step up. So at that point, whether it's New Black Panther Party or Geronimo Pratt or whoever we're with, George Jackson, whoever it is, generals, commanders have to have telephone numbers to coordinate outside of your group. Because what if your particular place of refuge, as the commander called it, what if that
Compromise.
place, or Tim called it, what if
Yes.
that place of refuge is taken over? You've got to go to
That's
maybe
right.
one that's already established. So you've got to
That's
get
right.
those
Yep.
connections.
Mhm.
Preach.
I totally agree. And
Preach,
see
Queen.
that, that's the honest truth. Because when you actually look at it, the aspect, I tell a brother, who was your replacement? Everybody in any kind of upper discipline, right? Any kind of upper discipline knows what I said. Any kind of upper discipline, right? All those positions, general, major, lieutenant, all those are disciplinary positions, right?
Yes, sir.
Self-disciplinary. Everybody should be trained to the same level of leadership. Battlefield promotions happen. Battlefield promotions happen. They really do.
That's right. Because who you think they gun for first? Who they try to take
Hmm.
out first is the leadership.
Yeah, I
And
tell the
don't be
brothers that's
wearing
leaders right now.
and don't be wearing the sparkly bars on the field.
Let
They're definitely gonna take you out, right?
Right?
General.
You too have a good night. I tell the brothers, I say I need you to really understand something. What you know and what's in your head is you. Take everything else away. The gun, everything. Take everything else away. What's in your head is you. And you need to really ask yourself and be honest. If you was your enemy, what would you do to you? You need to really understand that. And you need to take a contingency plan for that too.
Go ahead, doctor, and then I want Gat Turner. Are you there? El Geronimo Pratt, comrade. You want to go ahead, doctor? Go ahead, doctor. Go ahead,
so
doctor first.
the last thing I want to get across, because this is my mission, it's always been my own personal mission. I need to explain to every Black man I ever run across and every Black woman at the time of Civil War, it will not matter what religion or spirituality you claim. When you're looking down the barrel of a gun, they will not ask you who you believe in. So we need to
Absolute
leave
fact.
that bull behind. And that's all I got to
Stay
say.
outside the tree line. I totally agree with you, and
They're
I've
gonna ask
I've
you.
been pushing that. I've been pushing that for 15 years. Trying to listen. When we go out and do rescue, don't nobody ask what's your race, religion, color when the boat pull up. You understand what I'm saying? In the advent of calamity and wars on the thing, nobody is asking you, hey, before I shoot, are y'all with us? You know, that's out the door. So you're absolutely right. This is what people need to understand. This is a higher thing at stake than those lower things that's not at stake.
Um, Gat Turner, could you give us your perspective? You was one of the comrades that actually you watched the movie, right, sir?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Actually, I'm
sir.
gonna go
Yes,
see it
sir.
again tonight. Before the movie came out, I shared a trailer for like at least 2 or 3 months, trying to get everybody abreast of what's going on.
Turner, open. Do your mic again. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I said, actually, I'm gonna go see the movie again tonight, just to share
Right.
it with folks that haven't seen it. But I've been sharing that trailer for at least 2 or 3 months before the movie came out.
Right.
And I tell anybody it was well worth the 10 or $12 you spent, because that shit pretty much hit close to home. You know, it don't tell you how the war popped off or who started it, but apparently the president did some bullshit to end up in the third term, to where California and Texas are leading the way. So a lot of these movie reviews are basically saying that's bullshit. But we seen that the North and South basically in the first Civil War was fighting over money. You know what I mean? So it does say that these folks will double team you if push comes to shove. And I in a time like that, anybody asking you no questions. Who you voted for, what's your religion, what set you from, none of that shit. You're black. And that scene where dudes, what kind of person you are, if you answer wrong, you're in a mass grave. And I think they hit it right on the head to put some black folks on that don't have no fucking allies. You know what I mean? Uh, it was kind of sad to see that they had a black boogaloo boy in the movie, but I'm like, we've always had sellouts throughout history, so that wasn't shocking to see that. But again, man, we out here by ourselves, and the sooner we realize that, the better off we'll be.
Let me say something real quick on what you just said about the once again the American thing and then the Black Boogaloo. I think they showed in that movie a couple perspectives, a couple scenarios of how it will play out. They had mixed groups. They had a racist group, which is the guy with the glasses. Of course, he had to be racist. The guy with the red glasses. We're gonna be fighting different types of fights. You know what I'm saying? Some people's gonna be all together. Some people's not. There's gonna be race ones. Then you got the government. You know what I'm saying? They showed all of those scenarios and all those different oppositions within the movie. That's what I noticed as well. You know what I mean? That's why they had the Boogaloo guy. And of course, like you said, and then not only I'm happy that you brought up the Boogaloo scene.
Yeah.
I'm happy you brought up the Boogaloo scene because it wasn't only the black guy. The other guy was a Mexican or a Chinese guy, and another one was a white. So they showed three different races. That was a symbolic meaning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then, like you said, in the mass grave, the guy with the red glasses, he was most definitely probably like a little Nazi racist dude who killed everybody who wasn't white, who wasn't straight patriot American. Because you looked at the grave site, you seen black people in there, all kind of people in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead again, though. But I just had to say that real quick. You're kind of breaking out, comrade. Hey, Max Noble, are you there?
A lot of us subscribe to these different religions.
Yeah, I'm here. I got you.
I'm like, hey, even in some of those books, it tell you only a small remnant is gonna make it. You know,
Right.
I talked to even my brothers on the corner saying we're Israel. I said, okay, maybe we are Israel. When in the Bible did we not have to fight?
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, we are here by ourselves, man. If we can't accept that, it's gonna be bad.
Right. Max Noble, would you like to go ahead and put your insight on the movie as well?
Yeah, I'll drop my 2 cents. So, I think the movie took the perspective from more like a journal, right? right? The journalists. So they're kind of pushing ahead, trying to get an interview with the president, trying to understand kind of what's going on. And through that, we saw in various scenes different scenarios, right? In terms of what we possibly could see, what could happen, and things of that nature. So I think that that was a very clean Hollywood version of what can really happen. And so I'll give you my experience where I was living in a country that had a somewhat of a collapse. It wasn't necessarily a civil war, but it did become um, more of an internal class system type of fighting. So I was living in Latin America right about the time that I was living in Brazil, but Argentina had collapsed. And so a lot of the folks there had relatives that were, in Argentina. And I remember some of the friends I had made, they were sending a lot of care packages to the country because they couldn't get basic stuff. They couldn't get, sanitary stuff, feminine stuff, toothpaste, those types of things. And I was thinking to myself, I remember asking them one time, like, why are you guys sending these huge boxes? They kind of explained that to me. So that was number one. Um, Essentially, what ended up happening was the the neighborhoods. I wouldn't even call them gangs. I just think the people in the neighborhoods took over the neighborhoods. So someone could say it was a gang, but it was more of a this is where we live. We've got to protect it. So the food, the gasoline, and all those things within a neighborhood were essentially run by, if you will, the neighborhood gang. And it became very evident that people typically had to be able to do one of a couple things, right? So you had to be able to either fight, you either had to have connections to the black market, right, to be able to peddle whatever it was. It could have been drugs, food, water. It didn't matter, right? But you essentially had to be bringing something in and out in order to make a living because the government in those countries is a little bit different. You find that the government owns a lot of entities versus North America. It's a lot more private businesses. And you can go online now and even Google and YouTube and look, a lot of the women's were forced to do one or two things, right? Either you're going to sell drugs or be a mule, or you're going to become a prostitute. And that was pretty much it. So a lot of them were coming into Brazil to kind of do that because they thought it was very dangerous in Argentina, and so they were coming into Brazil to do that and then send the money back to the country, if you will.
What you
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I thought you.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so bringing it back home here, I think that being a prepper, you think about a couple different things, right? So I think we touched on them a little bit. Number one, you've got to be able to defend. Period. Right. Um, and I've visited a number of quote unquote prepper communities throughout this country. So some of you probably seen on YouTube, like the Pastor Dow, who's out in Lafayette, Tennessee. You've got the community up in Altamont, Tennessee, called Salt. Um, I lived in Michigan, near close to a place called Fowlerville, where there was a very large militia there. Now these were all Caucasians, but what I'm saying is these folks are out here. Like it's no joke, you know. And again, they're very well armed, they're very well organized, and most of them um, believe and are waiting for, if you will, something to pop off. So there's going to be a lot of different motives. I think in a country like Brazil or Argentina, the motivation was more about food, resources, that type of stuff, right? North America, the problem is a little bit different, right? Because there we're Argentinian, we're Brazilian, whereas here we're north, south, east, west, black, white, purple, green. So I would just say be aware of that. We saw what happened. I guess it was a couple of years ago now when they, whatever it is, took over the White House and did what they did there. But from our people perspective, I would say that from a homesteading, or at least thinking about that, is right. Well, what are your contingency plans, right? So where are you going to go? What are your triggers? Like what is a trigger that's going to wake you up that says, yeah, things haven't completely fallen apart, but I need to start getting my resources to that place I'm going to be. Um, that's kind of the way we move. We keep resources in various places, but we have a centralized place where when we see things getting, if you will, bad, then whatever we have, whether it's food, munitions, and those types of things, start getting moved, because we know what we're going to essentially have to hold up, if you will, at the end of the day. Um, I would encourage people to, you got to think very basic, right? So when I ask the average American, what's the longest length of time you've been without food or water, right? Most haven't gone very long. And if you have not been in that type of a situation, it creates a stress and a pressure that is, uh, it's unlike anything else that I've experienced. And so when your mind is on a drink of water or food or whatever the case may be, a lot of other things go out the window, right? Like things like sometimes in terms of your safety, or it's like sort of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So one of the things I ask people is, okay, where's your nearest water source? Do you know how to purify water? Right, that's going to be the most important thing. Water source, and do you know how to purify water at the end of the day? Now, the good thing in Georgia, there's a lot of water around. And on our particular homestead, we do have a creek. So we essentially, to a certain degree, have pretty much unlimited water, but that's going to be one of the big things. So for folks that are in places where there is not adequate water, I would say you guys start thinking about those things. Number two, obviously, is going to be your food. Do people know how to hunt? Do you know what plants that you can eat? So even in our group, I'll say this: we've got some folks that are, if you will, let's say vegetarians, right? And then we've got folks like me who are essentially omnivores. And one of the things that always comes up for the vegetarians is going to be, okay, look, I want you to go around our homestead, and I want you to gather enough food for 3 days that you can eat, live off of, and function properly. And for the most part, if they don't go get a bunch of dandelions and muscadines, um, they can't do it, right? And so that's why our mindsets have kind of shifted to, we're gonna have to get into a hunt mode. We're gonna have to get into trapping mode. We may have to get into, if you will, fishing mode, because for the majority of us, we don't live around enough vegetation to even be able to sustain ourselves. And then at the same time, do we know what's edible and what's not, right? So, and I'm sure you guys have heard the statistics about waterborne diseases being one of the things that kill a lot of people in the beginning, right? The first 30 days, I think, is what they typically quote. Is a lot of folks don't know to find clean water, and understand, right? Our utilities aren't going to work anymore, right? So whether it's your toilet, whether it's your garbage disposal, whatever, those types of things. So looking at backup power sources, whether it be generators, solar, and things like that. So anyway, I take away from that again, I have uh, been in living in a country where I saw the collapse and saw the ramifications that it had on the people. And again, it was bad. It wasn't televised, but it was really bad. And so thinking, being in the U.S., it's a little bit different because we haven't been bombed, we haven't been raided, we haven't had any troops on our land. And so for us, some of that is implacable to understand that could happen, but also, what would you do? What would the plan be at that point in time? Continuity of government does not involve citizens. If you don't know that, you got to understand that. So continuity of government is looking at VIPs and what they deem to be as valuable assets. That's pretty much it. And I'm sure most of us already know that most of the valuable assets in this country no longer are here. When we look at these bills that are being passed, those bills are a bluff. And the only thing they're doing with those bills to Ukraine and to um, Israel is letting you know the money is leaving out, but the real money is already gone, right? So they've been empty of this country for a fairly long time. So just understand that there's not a lot, there's not going to be a whole lot here for them to want to protect, right? So, you know, part of what I did in my job, my career over the last 20 years is figure out how to set up an American operation in a foreign country to produce a product at the same quality that we could in North America. So when I was in Brazil, when I was in Camaçari, Brazil, Bahia, that's what I did. We fabricated a plant, we built the plant, and we showed them that you can build cars just as good in Brazil as you could in North America. We did the same thing in Europe. So the United States has been divesting a lot of their infrastructure because I believe they know something is coming. And these movies that are being put out, I would say, don't sleep on them. Whether it be The Purge, whether it be Leave This World Behind, whether it be, Civil War, I believe there's something that they are communicating to us. And it's essentially up to us to do the best that we can to try to come up with those plans. And I'm sure some of you are aware, and some of you have been trying. I mean, I've been in this game for a little while now. It's very difficult. And even with our homestead that we have, we've got close to 100 acres out here in Middle Georgia. And honestly, there's just not that many people that are interested in supporting something like that. And so a lot of what we've done, be it our animals, we've got goats, we've got chickens, we've got horses, hogs, dogs, you name it. A lot of that work is being done by, just a small amount of people. I'll say it like that. So, we understand that, and we just took the mantle on our shoulders and basically said, look, it's not going to be a whole lot coming in. People see things happening, but I think there's a few people that are woke, and that's it. And so we just try to connect with those people that we believe are woke and those people that are moving in that direction to become more sustainable. And we try to leverage that. We don't necessarily have to all live on the same piece of land, but we do want to have those connections so that in the case that we need to partner up or team up or whatever the case may be, that, we have comrades out there that are, that we've built relationships with. So with us, whether it be weapons training, and we've had to honestly sit down in the last couple of months and really talk about that because on both sides, we've got family members that see this stuff going down and they're steadily taking trips and they're going to cruises and Black College weekend and stuff. And, we've given them opportunities to kind of pitch in, to cover some of the costs, some of the animals, livestock, things like that. And most have not. And so when the rubber hits the road, we have some guidelines in place that basically say, look, I'm sorry, if you have not been here in the last 2 years, 3 years, year or so, supporting and pouring into this homestead, we're sorry. And if that makes an
Yes, sir.
enemy,
Oh,
then we've
yes,
got to
sir.
deal
And
with
let me say something real quick right there. Just like you said, building relationships with like-minded people that's serious and now, right now, not
it.
when
Right.
it's too late, not when everything is already there. It's too late then, everybody. It's too late. How can we trust anybody that wants to come in that late in the game? And you didn't want to take it serious now and build a rapport now and build an alliance and create this unification and infrastructure now. You didn't take it serious. So how we expect you to take it serious and how can we trust you, at the end of the day? Am I right, Max?
100%. Yeah. So
I'll let you
again,
go.
it, yeah. So again, I'll just say this, it's the homesteading. I know some people have made it popular on YouTube and those types of things. Look, it's very expensive. It is a massive investment. It is not. It's not like you take $1 and split it 50, in half, and say I'm going to put this in my home and I'm going to put this in the homestead. It is a whole separate lifestyle, and it is. It's expensive. I mean, we saw what happened to the price of ammo over the last couple of years. You used to be able to get a 9mm parabolum round for 10 cents a round. 2 years ago, it was $1 a round, right? 300 blackout is going for $1.15 a round. These weapons, Scar 16 used to be $1,400. You go look on the sites now, they're $2,700, and they are purposely inflating them, and they're not bringing them back down. So for folks that thought it was expensive 2, 3, 4 years ago to do this, it has become astronomical now. It really has, and we've seen the price of food and fuel as well. So I'm just saying, from a practical perspective, for folks that are looking to get into it, or for folks that don't have a plan, you got to start. And again, right now, we pretty much have, we've kind of closed our doors. We pretty much said that's it. That we don't, we've got our team, and that's it. So, from that perspective, we had to kind of go pick our guys. We know some of them are mechanically inclined. We've got some chemists. We've got some folks that are good with herbs. All of us pretty much, we slave on the land, so everybody's got to get their hands dirty. So we've got we got a blessed group of men, but I'm telling you, it's been a lot. It really has been. So, things are coming down the line. We do want our people to wake up and do some things that they can help themselves, because it's going to be bad. And again, I saw it firsthand. I saw people selling their kids when I was in Latin America. I saw people selling, they sell anything that they could, and it gets bad. And again, greed is one motivation. Hunger is a different one. People in America have not been hungry. The poverty that I saw in Latin America, I haven't seen anything like that even close in North America. I just simply have not. And when it comes, it's going to be bad. So we just encourage folks to, hey, continue to work together. It doesn't take a whole lot of land to get some things going. And even right now, I tell people a lot of times, look, it's probably cheaper to just buy bulk stuff right now and put them up. Put up your beans, get your rice, get your staples. Start putting some of that stuff together and putting it away, put it in storage. If you can't grow, we get it. But we do encourage that, as well as livestock and learning how to hunt. I mean, that's pretty much what we do. So we try to do a little bit of everything. So yeah, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. And for those that aren't prepared, that apocalypse for them starts that day. And for some people, we've already seen it. I mean, they haven't stopped shooting, they haven't stopped killing. The violence hasn't slowed down very much at all, right? So, we just need to be out here, and just be prepared for what's coming down the line, and do the things like these calls, and bringing people together, and and trying to team up as best we can, because we're gonna need each other. We have a lot less in common with those folks, than we may think. And again, at the end of the day, one of the easiest ways to identify is the skin color, right? So, there ain't no Irish and Russian or whatever the case is. It's for some folks, it's gonna come down to that. And I'm sure you guys have seen those guys. Pastor Dow was one of the main ones. I've been down to Pastor Dow's probably got more guns in Tennessee than anybody I've seen out there, and he has been attacked twice already. This was years ago. They came out there on four-wheelers once, and they came out there with trucks the second time. And they actually flipped the truck and almost killed one of his guys. And this is during a good time, but they know what he's got out there. They know he's got cows. They know he's got chickens. They know he's got girls. They know he's got guns. And those white boys, Caucasians, went out there and attacked him twice already. So I'm just saying, knowing everything that he's got, you know. So some folks are waiting for the opportunity to get violent and to turn up. I yield.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Most definitely. Wise words and true words from an actual prepper who's actually creating that infrastructure and doing it today. This is a lifestyle. This ain't nothing to play with. And we don't even got y'all guys here, to play with y'all guys and just to run our mouth. You know, this is a serious thing that we take extremely serious. Comrade Chris Ross, you just watched the movie. Are you there, comrade? Ross, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, could you please give us your perspective on the Civil War that you watched today? You watched it today, right?
Yeah, I literally just came out from the movie. But I also want to,
Okay.
before I get into that, I like to address one thing that the brother was saying prior to me. You
You
copy
got the
that?
floor, sir. You got the floor. You got the
Oh,
floor.
yeah. So, like how he was talking about, closed network and stuff. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But this one thing you got to consider on a national or regional level. You know, your zone might not be the safe zone. So even though you got your eggs stored up in a basket, your area, you might have to still bug out, and that's the benefit of actually creating a prepared network of individuals now prior to any events. That way, if you got to make any movements, places that's what like-minded people you could build with throughout the country. But but y'all can still
Yes,
hear me?
sir. I agree. No, we hear you. You got the floor, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Keep going.
But as far as the movie, I mean, it touched on a lot of stuff, you know, and one of the things was, like these redneck countries, for instance. I mean, redneck states. You got to think about, like, we're not a large percentage of the population out here.
That's right. That's
So
right.
we definitely have to be a strong percentage. If up against, anytime you're against the odds, you got to have something, that makes you stronger than the grain. That way you could go against the grain and still be able to withstand the storms or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hey, Chris, there was a part, right? And I'm happy that you said that. I got to bring up this man with the red glasses again, man, because he said so much stuff. Even though he didn't say much, I mean, he did a lot, but he said another thing too as well. He was asking the woman and the man, what state do you live in?
Yeah.
What state you come from? And notice how one of them said, I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. One said Colorado and one said Kansas, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And he was like, okay. He said, okay, those
That's
are
American.
real. He said, yep, that's really American, right? That's really American. So he was about to give him a pass, right? Then he looked at the other guy, and the guy said, of course, if you say anything else besides one of those states, it was over. You know what I'm saying? Like I can only imagine if one of us was to say we was from Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, or Oakland,
DMV.
California. Oh, what do you think that man with the red glasses was gonna say? And besides that, he also shot the Chinese guy for saying he's from China. You know what I'm saying? Quickly,
Yeah, he said he's
you
from
know.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
So imagine, comrade, if we told that man in the red glasses we was from DC. Do you think he would have? What do you think he would have said? You know what I'm saying? Or
I don't think
Atlanta,
it would have
Georgia,
been.
or
I
Chicago?
don't think there would have been no words after that. It would have been on site.
He would have just straight shot us, huh? Shot everybody in here because we all come from damn near everybody in here come from an urban place in here. You know,
But but
it
also
probably wouldn't have been American for him, not enough American for him.
but
But
also
that
a
was
very,
underlining saying he was a racist too. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no doubt. But also a very
Go ahead.
important part of that movie, I think that we need to pay attention to. You remember when they got in that town and it's like, oh snap, the snipers on the roof.
Yep, yep, yep.
But that
Tell
town
me what you
seemed
thought
like,
about that.
I feel like that's our type of environment right there. Because, like, yeah, you eliminate a lot of other variables when you have a small, tight knit group. But if you want to actually survive for a long duration, you need more than a small, tight knit group. You need
Right.
that you need an actual community,
Yes,
you
sir.
know,
That's a
and
good one. Good one.
that's
Good
what
one.
they had. They had a community, but the community was also organized and protected, and in that way, they was able to create a, a air of normalcy with,
Mm.
within the community
Mm.
because of
Right.
that you know. So if we like the comrade was talking about, he got people in different skill positions, but if you got a whole community, you got literally everything, you
Right.
know.
Man,
And
that was a good assessment on that. I didn't really pay that scene that much attention like that, like how you just brought it up. And
and
you're right. You know.
and for the comrades that like how the brother was also talking about, this stuff is expensive and it's getting more expensive.
Right.
But guess what? The people with the land, they don't have the strength and the energy and the time to actually work all that land to make it produce. So then you got a lot of land that's unproductive. That's why
Right.
I'm also living on a homestead and building out on my homestead. But
Right.
every single Tuesday, I'm volunteering my time at one of these other agricultural plots and also farms, right? So
Right.
I'm building a relationship with multiple farms. So even though I got my own homestead where I could bug in and hunker down, I'm still establishing the same thing for bugging out.
Right.
So,
Right.
like for instance, so if I got access to 100 acres just in my locale, and Comrade Ghazi got an issue and he need to
Right.
fly south or east, and I got provisions for him. See what I'm saying? But that's
Right.
because he and I has a relationship, and I can vouch for him, and anyone with him, he so that creates the checks and the balances.
Let me stop you right here, real quick, comrade. I'm gonna call out my spokesman real quick. Alatunde, did you hear what this man just said and what these
Going
people
forward,
talking about? Olatunde, are you there? Comrade, you there?
I'm here.
Hold on. Yeah, okay. You hear me. So you hear the importance of building a relationship with the people. Just like what a lot of these people just sitting here, the doctor from Huey P. Newton Gun Club, Chris Ross from the New Black Panther Party, Samar, and everybody in here. Max Noble, you know, we have to build with the people. We have to build a relationship with the people. We have to build a rapport, and we have to be progressive with one another. So I just wanted you to hear this, you know what I mean, for yourself. So when we do what we do behind the scenes and build with our people, this is what it's for. So I just wanted to say that real quick. Go ahead, Ross. You there, Ross?
Yeah, I put my phone on mute when you put another
Oh,
speaker.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But but and that's a good point. And I'm not giving y'all this information on stuff that I'm doing like for cloud or
Right,
nothing.
right.
I'm just trying to give you the game that I'm putting
Yes, sir.
down. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
like
sir.
every Wednesday, we doing community outreach. We building an organization of organizations that do community outreach. That way, we already tapping in and creating a, a a communication with the community and finding out what the community need and creating the levers and the infrastructure to actually address the needs of the people on the other end.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So
That's
it's,
right.
it's a multifaceted way you got to move. You really got to be focused in these times.
Right. I mean, I don't. If people is asleep right now in La La Land, I feel sorry for you, man. I feel sorry for you. You know. I mean, this is all the signs that this shit is gonna hit the
And
fan.
I'm gonna tell you, man, like
You know, I don't know
sometimes,
what more signs people need.
and
Go
if
ahead.
you don't know where to start, wherever you are, man, just find like-minded people and tap on the work. That's a start, because you know what they say about when more than three come together. So once you building something in your locale, then after that, all we got to start doing is connecting the dots.
That's right. That's right. Oh, go ahead. Sar, are you there?
Shalom, shalom. Blessings, blessings,
Yeah,
peace.
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and let you rock out, man. And
Uh,
it's an honor to have you on here too, boss. I know you gonna say. I know you've been waiting in the cut, man. Go ahead,
nah,
man.
man. Hey, blessings to everybody, man.
Yeah,
My name is
you got the floor, okay? You
all
got the
right,
floor.
peace, peace. No doubt, no
Yep.
doubt. Peace and blessings, man. My name is General Saul Shemuel Benyamin. Um, it's an honor to kind of be on here with everybody, man, because a lot of powerful statements were made. And I just sat back and listened, man. You got a lot of intelligent, knowledgeable individuals, some who sound like they had real practical application. And I think during these times, practical application counts. It matters. Men and women who have experience, they need to be at the forefront. They need to be at the helm. They need to be at that position where those who lack experience and lack the knowledge on how to survive and how to maneuver in these type of situations where they can sit back and they can follow lead. Um, these aren't times for egos. One of the things I've been trying to get across to the Hebrew Israelite community is that um, we don't need arguments right now. We don't need doctrine battles. We don't need divisive a conversation where we're pinning each other or who thinks it's back to Africa, or who's arguing about being indigenous, who's arguing about Yahweh Shah, who's arguing about the Bible. All of that, we can solve that in the next life. But right now, our unification, our strength in numbers with knowledgeable and skilled men and women who are able to maneuver and function and survive. These are the folk that need to be unified. These are the people that need to be collectively making decisions and coming together and building structure. You can go pray in whatever corner you pray in. I can go pray in whatever corner I pray in. But as long as we have a like-minded goal and like-minded ideals and believe in a liberative concept while keeping an order and structure and building a foundation, because see, it's not about, I'm 43 now. It's not about really me. It's about the next 2, 3, 4, 5 that are coming behind. And this information and how we lay these foundations down now is going to have an impactful effect on those who are coming behind. This is about positioning, understanding where you are. What are your skill sets? What lane are you in? There's no reason why I need to talk to why I need to be instructing an agriculturalist, somebody who spent 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years in that field. There's no reason why I need to be giving him orders. I need to be sitting down, listening, trying to figure out where he needs me in the positioning in order to help him facilitate whatever it is he needs to facilitate for the betterment of the people. I deal with combat. I deal with hand to hand. I deal with weapons. I deal with preparation. These are the things that I focus on. So these are the men and women that I choose to be around. These are the individuals that I'll share my information with. But in every other room, I'm a student. And I think that has to be pushed so that way we develop councils, we develop boards, we develop ways that we can navigate amongst each other. I got my own people, but you can still be part of my people. But we don't have to be up under the same roof. Everybody has a place at this table. And if we jointly come together, we unify, we'll be tremendously powerful. Some of the things that I talk about with my tribe is we prepare to fight and we go over certain concepts, but the harsh reality, are you preparing the people under you to die? See, we train for combat, but we don't ever prepare for death. And this is the concept that we have to focus on. For example, if it's something to where you as a man are in the home, it's just you, your wife, and your daughters. 20 men are on the outside. They're getting in. It's just you, your wife, and your daughters. These men are getting in. There's nothing you can do. You can take 5, you can take 4, you can take a couple, whatever the case, but they're getting in. Do you prepare your family to die? Do you prepare yourself as a leader to eliminate or remove your family so that way your wife and your daughters, in the event when these men finally get in and they take you out, all the nasty, vile, disgusting things that your wife and your daughters are going to have to go through because their protector is no longer there? These are the conversations that we need to be having. And and I know I don't mean to jump on anybody and or offend anybody. That's not my goal. I'm here to help and build. But there's psychological concepts and there's things that I want those who have never experienced to truly understand. If I'm preparing a man for a fight and it's MMA or it's Muay Thai or it's kickboxing, I can kind of tell you how this thing is going to go. You can hear me, I can coach you, but guess what? I can come in there and I can save my fighter. If God forbid it gets too bad, I can save you. I can pull you out of danger and wipe your tears, wipe your blood and say, hey, champ, we're going to come back and we're going to do it again. In live time, outside of that protection of that ring, we only got succeed or fail. There is no redo. These are conversations and concepts that we need to be implementing in the mind. Our training techniques. What tactics are you guys using in your group? What tactics maybe am I using in mine? This is information that we need to be sharing. The enemy does it. The enemy shares information. And this is the most untrustworthy enemy in the history of the world. This is the most vile, disgusting enemy in the history of the world. But that's how she stays so powerful, because she's not afraid to go get information and find out what tactics and find out what are the best mechanisms to implement into her system. And see, we in our positions, we can't be afraid to make alliances with other individuals and other nations, because this is how we're going to have to survive. Doesn't mean that we have to be best friends. Doesn't mean we have to share everything identically the same conceptually. But we're stronger in numbers, and we still have to realize at the end of the day, we may have to stand side by side with somebody who looks a little bit different from us in order for us to fulfill the goals of the common good. There's a lot that our brothers and our sisters touched on, and you guys went over, man. And I don't really have too much to add to that aspect because a lot of it was touched. There was some beautiful statements that I heard made that I teach over here, and it's finally refreshing to hear men and women who share the same concepts and believe in the same things. The fight that I'm fighting over on my end is where religion has reduced our ideas of succession and liberation, because we've gotten so European religiously indoctrinated that we've forgotten how to fight. We've taken this title of slavery and we've made it a part of us as it is the greatest part of us. We never tell the aspect of being prisoners of war. We never tell the aspect because that reduces us from being the true royalty that we are and our true power. And this is the fight that I'm fighting over here, because so many on my side are waiting for the sky to open up and for somebody to swoop down on the cloud. But when I read that book, it's a war scroll. I never teach it based on anything else other than metaphysics, quantum physics, astrology. But the main aspect that I get from that book that so many people argue over is it's a war scroll. It's an idea and a concept to show me that every time I activate my liberative right, I activate God's power. Every time I stand up against something that desires to oppress me, I activate God's greatest strength. I can tap into something even more powerful if I do not remove the concept of war. Never has that book told me to turn the other cheek against an enemy. With my brother, every man or woman that's on this phone who stands righteously. With you, I have patience. With you, I have understanding. With you, we're going to work it out. But my enemy, no enemy gets to invade my space. No enemy gets to impose his will. I'm not afraid to activate God's power because God's authority is what rules over me, no human being. So that's the energy that I want, and that's the understanding that I wanna share with my beloveds. I am a Hebrew, but I'm not closed. I'll stand with any and everybody who shares the same goals and same concepts as far as liberation, freedom for our people, the right to live, the right to be, the right to stand in our royalty. I'll stand with anybody who stands on that. Protection of our women and our children. These are some of the harshest times that are coming up. When COVID hit, during that time, we realized that there was so much going on with sex trafficking, so much going on with little girls being taken, abductions. We put boots on the ground. You would be surprised how many people from the Hebrew Israelite community, from the Moorish community, Muslim community, the gun club communities, how many backed out when it was time to really put the work in. When it was really time to get down and dirty, how many who get online and they type big boy talk, big girl talk, they didn't show up. These times put me in a mindset of where I began to start looking not just at my own, I started looking at everybody. We all got con artists in our midst. Now's the time to get rid of these, excuse my French, these motherfuckers. We don't have time to deal with this weakness because see, that weakness is going to jeopardize my ability to protect my family, your ability to protect your family. That weakness is an infection. It's a disease and it spreads. So every time you hear a weak MFer talk, guess what? Somebody else who's on the fence or somebody else who really is not sure about self, guess what happens? They're infected by that disease. And guess what it starts to do? It starts to spread. And before you know it, you're standing 20 strong, a bunch of 1,000 weak MFers. And that disease will overtake you. So now is the time to start that separation. I don't want nothing but warriors around me.
Yes, sir.
I do my bartering. I do my bartering. And the way that I provided my bartering was this. And anybody else, feel free to share your concepts. The way I provided is this, because as the brother so eloquently put earlier, he said that about finances and money, not having any home in this new concept of life. So what skills do you have to barter with? So for example, if we get 20 warriors on this phone and we say, okay, for every farm that's within a 5-mile radius or a 2-mile radius or 3, whatever the numerical concept that we come up with, and however many men we have to provide service, we can end up saying, hey, yo, look, we'll provide the protection. We'll provide the security. All we require is this amount of food from your reserves on these amount of days or these amount of months. So this way, we're providing a service and they're providing a service back. Guess what? At the end of the day, I don't care how big your farm is. I don't care how many people you got. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much knowledge you have. I don't care how much you get on your knees and pray. When there's werewolves at the door, you better have some damn werewolves in your lot. If not, you're going to be devoured. It's just that simple. And if every last man on this phone who stands in righteousness decides to go to the other side or assume that there is somebody on the other side who's built just like him, but he don't have the same quality and principles, he's vicious, he's psychotic, he doesn't care about life or death, he values nothing. They're roaming the streets. They're ready. You have to assume that these individuals with the same skills you have are on the other side. How do you keep these men from invading these spaces? If these communities or these groups, I don't care how much you have, if you cannot protect it, it doesn't matter. If you can't protect your women and children, it does not matter. What do you do if you're forced to flee from your home of protection and you have a woman with you who's 5 months pregnant? Better yet, you have a woman with a 9-month-old baby who doesn't know how to be quiet yet. You have to be silent while you're moving from point A to point B. There's 30 men on the outside. They just broke it. They just got into your spot. You got out through the exit way. And now your people are fleeing. Everybody else is of age. They know how to be quiet, but this 9-month-old. Or what if it's a 2-year-old with you? She breaks out when there's 30 men in a huddle. She runs away from the group. She happens to get away and she runs into the middle. Do you run out there and save her? What do you do with this 9-month-old who's crying? You got 20 people you got to take care of. What do you do with this 9-month-old? Do you jeopardize the whole 20 for one? These are concepts that we have to share with our beloveds. These are concepts that we have to start expressing because this is going to get ugly. And anybody who has seen some level of elevated expression or some kind of combat, whatever, they'll tell you it's ugly. Whether you're in the private sector, the mercenary sector, I don't like that word. Whether you've been in the military, executive protection, hell, whether you're a professional fighter, if you see some level of violence and you understand what it looks like, we got to start teaching. We have to start developing a psychological understanding where people can at least conceptualize as best they can how bad it can really get. And every leader, I've told people this. I said, look, if you think that you're in a camp right now or a group and you're safe, I guarantee you this, young ladies, your sex means nothing when it comes to survival. It means nothing. Because what he wants, if he wants it, he'll take it. And that's just not me being vulgar, that's me being honest. Because there's nobody there to stop it. So how do you survive? What skills do you have to offer somebody? Not open legs. What skill do you have? This is the time for us to develop those skills. Everybody doesn't have to be a warrior. And it's cool. We don't need everybody to be a warrior. I heard one of the brothers say he had a chemist. Who's thinking about that? You can tell this brother is preparing. You have brothers that saying they have mechanics. This is wisdom. You have to have skilled men and women around you. And when everything goes to shit, we don't have time to be making new alliances. I don't know you now. I don't know who you are. I don't give a damn if you hit like on every post I've pushed on Facebook. If we have not built an alliance before everything goes to shit, I don't know you.
Preach. Preach.
We have no dealings, because to me at this point, you're an enemy. Everything is an enemy at this point. I don't need new friends. Because everybody that I'm building alliances with now, we're getting some kind of understanding of how we stand and what kind of foundation and principles we stand on. I answer to something higher than myself. So there's never a time when you got to worry about your wife around me. You got to worry about your daughters around me. I have a wife. I have daughters. There are things that men have to value even in times of chaos as alliances are built. But I can go on and on. I apologize. I don't mean to be long-winded. I apologize. But
Oh, no. You good, brother. You good. It's a divine thing. I'm gonna call it out right now, brother. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to do something like this with you. I always had it in my back of my mind. I want to do something with this brother. And it's crazy that, you just came on today and just gave us a good demonstration and talk about all of this. And it's like a divine thing, brothers, to be honest with you. It's a very divine thing. And I'm just going to admit it to everybody on here, and I greatly appreciate
May I interject real quick, please? I don't know what the training is like in the communities and in the groups, but listen, if the leaderships want to get together, do some training. Look, I got a school out here in Georgia. We also got some land for training, whatever the case might be. Guys, I'm willing to share whatever I know. If somebody else has some innovative concepts. My point being, everybody else is sharing. And any of us who've worked in any level of security bodyguard, we understand what it means. Like when you're out there in that field, you're in the trenches, whatever the case may be. When you got folk that are these European boys, they're sharing information all the time. Like they're trying to build one another up. and they're giving each other new concept. If you watch these guys, even on the YouTube dudes, they'll go any and everywhere to study something, and then they'll almost 100% of the time, just like they've done all throughout history, present it as if they've made it up or created it. And that's how they navigate, you know. And I'm at the point now where I want to build, I want to share as much information and knowledge so that way we can have strongholds. We can have real strongholds. I don't want to be the only one holding the information. I want to share as best I can, because the more adequate warriors of righteousness that we have, the better we are going to be. So whatever I
Yes,
can
sir.
do to help and assist, hey, I'm here.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna take you up on that as well. Like I said, my guy Max Noble is there in Georgia as well. Um, we're trying to do a regional training in Atlanta, Georgia, or whatnot. We got that on the way. It's most needed, and a lot of people is acquiring for it in Georgia. For
Mm-hmm.
us, for all the warriors to come together and talk about some things and train and network and build. So I'm
Okay.
most definitely believe you on that. With you on that.
Excellent. Excellent. Hey,
Did,
brothers,
did you?
I gotta run, man. I gotta run.
Yes,
Much
sir.
love. Please, if anybody, I'll leave my number. I'm gonna put my number here in the group.
Yes, sir.
And you know, if we gotta, this is my contact, so y'all can definitely get in contact with me, and we can go from
Your
there.
place is in Union City, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. But
All right. Peace and love, y'all. Y'all be safe tonight.
peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace, love, and black power.
Um, Freedom, are you there, Freedom? Freedom, can you unmute your mic, Freedom, if possible?
Is that okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay,
I know you
okay,
got a lot
yeah,
to
yeah.
say, so I want you to I want you to go ahead and give us your thoughts about everything and the importance of a contingency plan and what needs to be built. I know you got a lot on that, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor, comrade.
Well, right on. Appreciate it, and thank you for putting this on. I thought this was interesting that you caught this. That we don't sleep on what they feed us through the through Hollywood, through entertainment, as if it has no merit in terms of reality. You know, because they've proven over the years, in my opinion, that the film movie Hollywood will give you in a delayed way what's really going down. And I've heard that here on this call tonight. So you guys are pretty much aware of the reality that's going to go down at some point. No one can pinpoint exactly when. And the dry runs through COVID, and then back when they had the collapse of when Obama came in and so on and so forth, gave us some kinds of indications of what the fascist government will do, American or not, a citizen or not. And I heard this piece tonight too, because it's not about, in a certain kind of way, it's not going to be about race. And so what I'll say, because I heard some very high experienced people here that I don't have. I've been prepping in terms of being, having a bug out bag and being prepared, through training, through going through Black August training and so on and so forth, but it was always geared or aimed, most of my my purview was geared or aimed towards surviving for about a month or two or three, maybe at the most. I think I've gotten that far, and being able to, purify water and so on and so forth. But you guys have taken it, having a homestead, goddamn. I mean, I thought that was, listening to that piece, and of course, I live in the city, so I don't have that kind of a land option, nor do I have the cash or the funds to do it. But that piece right there is serious. So it might be beneficial for myself and others of us in the cities to reach out or to make those kinds of connections and build from there. And trust me, I understand people have closed ranks right now. I get it. But I would say, two of the questions I want to ask one question I would want someone to repeat. I heard earlier they said where we can actually view the movie. And I want somebody to repeat that for me because I didn't quite catch what it was. I've been trying to find it.
Say that again. You sound kind of low. Say that again. Your question. Oh yeah, your phone went low.
Can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, I hear you now. Go ahead.
All right, let me try something here.
Yeah, you sound perfect.
I was.
What was the question?
Where can I view that movie? Because I heard somebody say it earlier. I want them to
Oh, the
repeat that
movie.
for me if they would.
Oh, the movie. Okay, I
Yeah.
think it's is it in here? Where's the link? Nobody shared the link. Let me see. Is it in the context?
And remember, I'm on the phone.
Okay. I'm looking for it if it's in the link. I will give it to you.
Okay. I
Comrade said
see.
it. He didn't put it in here, but I'll make sure I get the link so you can see it. And by
Appreciate it.
asking for it.
Also on the theater, if you wanted to see it on.
Say that again, Chris.
I said it's also playing in the movie theaters if you wanted to see it on the big screen.
Right.
Oh
Yeah, no,
no,
I think you want to see the screen.
I'm good. Yes, I want to see it online and on kind of some kind of bootleg joint, because I don't participate. I don't give Hollywood my hard-earned money. That's not
I respect
not as short on nobody else. Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah. I don't do that. I've stopped that years ago. But I will get a bootleg in a minute. Some brothers selling on the street or online for free. I'm good. That's one thing. If you can repeat that, or I'll wait for you to get it to me,
Yeah.
General. I'll wait for you to send it to me. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it from the general. He watched it on one of those sites. I'm gonna make sure I get it from him, and I will send it directly to your Facebook so you can see it for yourself.
Right on.
Because
Right
I
on.
actually want to see it. I want to see it again too. I want to watch it again in my truck.
Yeah, well, that's going to lead me to my second question, because the important thing, and once again, I appreciate you for doing this, because I wanted to hear the perspective from these experienced preppers and these warriors that are on this call. What
Yes,
types of advanced, if there was any, what type of advanced technology did they kind of hint at in the movie or give away in the movie? Because like I said earlier, I've learned years ago that Hollywood puts stuff out in the movies like 5, 10 to 15 years in advance of what will actually take place in the society. And as we saw, like I said, I'll repeat it, we saw this with COVID. We saw with the economic collapse during Obama's tenure. And so I know these things are real, but I wanted to know from you guys, what types of advanced, whether it be biological, if there was any in the movie, or technological advances that you had discovered in the movie or that they hinted at that we need to be aware of. And lastly, I was down at one of the encampments just to show you how we do get opportunities to kind of feel this kind of survival thing out. These students are tented up down at their schools. So I was down at one here in D.C., and you can see the variety of races, the Palestinians, different kinds of Muslims and Arabs, white folks, black folks, Spanish folks come together. And I saw just a clear variety and a small, or you might want to say a micro example of how it is they have the opportunity now to survive in those encampments. Of course, it's not a thing where there's a crazy military running around, but one damn thing for sure I'm advising them to do is stop wearing heels and trying to look good and makeup while they're in the encampments, because at some point the pigs will run on them. And these sisters are out, some of them are not taking advantage of the opportunity to be prepared for what may come down on your head, even though you feel the safety of your campus and your university. It's not true. So I'm just observing that now, and as a fundamental way that they could practice their own survival skills. They're in tents. There's about to be some rain, so they're going to deal with mud and all that stuff. They have plenty of food supplies because people, the community is supplying them, but it's just a small example. And I think they can take it further from there. But so those some of the ideas, man. I heard some good stuff here, bro. I really appreciate you for having these brothers on. This shit is valuable.
And
I'll let it go right there.
And I'm gonna try to. We're gonna. Me and Max Noble been talking about this a lot as well, and we're gonna make sure we're gonna kind of keep this going once a month, and at the same time, connecting with our people as well. We just don't want to leave these spaces um, just for lip service. We need to be prepping for the self defense of our people, and we need to be setting up what we need to set up for the self defense of our people. This is a recorded line, and this is gonna go on some platforms. So hopefully, it inspires all those whoever's out there, whoever listen, to want to organize properly and create these infrastructures of self defense. And I yield off of that. Does anybody want to Oh, and you said something about the technology. Did they hint towards technology in the movie? Actually, like I said, it was more of a Hollywood version of how it would go. And they gave it from a journalist perspective. So it was to be honest, I'm happy that you brought it up, and it looks like um how it would end if the Trump if the Trump administrator if the Trump administration was to actually fulfill what they was gonna do, during January 6th. You know, like it seemed like it seemed like it picked up from there. It seemed like it picked up from there, but it was like, what if Trump actually became president again off of that and took over, DC and everything, like his supporters wanted. You know what I'm saying? And it was probably more a shot. It was probably more of a shot and a warning to those who participated in January 6th. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. You know, because I don't want to give the movie away, but this is the review and spoilers in here. But it was geared towards them getting to DC and killing the president, because the president took over, like you said, for a third term. They didn't want to bring up, of course, Boogaloo was there fighting the government, and I guess that's why they was in there. And in DC, there was a mixture of people. I was actually there, protecting black people, not participating in the riot or nothing like that. But Chris Ross, you was there with us too as well, right? Cross is Chris. Chris, are you on there?
Yes,
you was with us.
actually,
Yeah.
I was with the units in the community on the outskirts. We was rolling real heavy on our side, and ain't nothing spill over on our end, so things stayed quiet.
Right. So, just seeing it for our own eyes, you know what I mean? Me and Chris, we seen it with our own eyes, and it was actually there. That Civil War thing looked like the ending of how the manifest of Trump having his third, term, and how it would end up. You know what I'm saying? If it was actually happening, If now that I think about it, now that I really think about it, when you watch, you're gonna, I bet you're gonna agree, because it was intense so far as that, and I just think it was a shot at them, but it was more of a point, they didn't put no more new technology in there, from what I'm seeing, unless I gotta watch it a second time, and they didn't really get in depth. It was more of just that message, you know what I'm saying? They tried to deliver some type of message, and they didn't really get deep into the details of the politics. They didn't get deep into the details of the different organizations, because that's what I didn't like about it, is that it didn't dive into those details that would have fulfilled me. You know what I mean? So far as how it will really be, and they didn't go deep into that. You know what I mean? But they did a broad stroke of how it would be if it was to happen. You know what I mean? The way the people would want it to go, and it's like they killed it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You making plenty of sense there. Yeah, and I think
right,
a lot of people don't realize that what happened that day on or the day before January 6th.
right,
Right here in D.C. The night before the hotels were being packed by Trump's people, but I don't know how much the media covered this, but there was a lot of skirmishes
right,
the 2 nights before, and
right,
even when
right.
I came out, because I live close to downtown, I came out my house and these huge
Ooh,
white boys walking up the street try to come at me as I'm walking. Like I'm just walking. I wasn't going down all the way down there because I'm on like the brother just said, I was on the outskirts here. But they was
Freedom, you
trying to
made me think of
intimidate black
something.
folks. They jumped.
You made me
Yes,
think of
sir.
something,
Yes, sir.
Freedom.
They jumped on the system. Go ahead.
You
Go
made me
ahead.
think of something. You made me think of something real quick. Chris, I don't know if you remember this, but before that happened, like you said, during this time before then, when they was marketing and promoting them going there, the Trump supporters said they was going to bring the militia and armed military to take the city. Do y'all remember that?
They said they was gonna bring the what military?
Like their own militia. We thought they was going to bring a militia to take DC. You know what I'm saying? Do you remember that a little bit?
Yeah, I do
They said they was
remember
gonna bring. They
that.
said they was gonna bring guns, like they was gonna take DC for real. Like, but come to find out when we got there, nobody had guns, and I know there was 30,000 Trump supporters, of course, going crazy.
That
But
is
I
correct.
was,
I do remember that.
yeah. Now that I think about it, so it would have been the full manifesto of how Civil War would have
Mm.
been if they would have actually did that and
Wow.
Trump took it. You know what I
Right.
mean? The way
Right.
we thought it was gonna go. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right though. It
The
because
full
if you really see the
manifesto.
manifesto, it was it was a lot deeper than what actually happened.
Right.
You know? But that's
Crazy.
why we were on the outskirts of the downtown because
Right.
our community don't line the downtown. You know,
Right.
the state's gonna protect if they protect anywhere in DC, it's gonna be the downtown area.
Right. Right.
You know that's why that
Well,
area was not concerned as much.
right. 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 But we was in the middle of it. We got even stuck in it. In the heart of that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to go deep into
Yeah. Well,
that.
I
I
know they
don't know.
got. No. I hear you, but you're right on point. And I would once I see the film, I'll get back at you and let you know
Right.
because I think
Right.
what you
Right.
just said is
Right.
probably gonna keep my eyes wide open for what you say.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah. Anyway,
Right.
these things need to be talked about. These preparations and these contingency plans are important. I got to step up my game, as I said when I first started. My projection has always been only 2-3 months worth of survival, and I need to go beyond that. Even though I live in the city, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we got Rock Creek Park, we got a few places in Maryland where we have water sources and so on and so forth. But to get there
Right.
and to be able to safely
That's
get there
right.
and get back wherever it is we need to go is important to put
Right.
on the table for me. So this is a valuable
You know,
discussion.
and comrades, we're not even talking about no crazy things and hurting nobody. We're only strictly talking about self defense. What we're gonna do if we're in danger. What if we're gonna do if we need food? No different from what anybody else would say. So
Right.
I would say, man, we gotta influence this type of thinking and this type of organizing and coalition building with one another because just like the comrade said before, this is for our survival. The numbers and the infrastructures throughout the United States for us is for our survival. It ain't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing this for play. So
General, if it's okay, if I just want to step in real quick.
yes,
Um,
sir.
in regards to the question about the technology, so you didn't necessarily see it in the movie, but what I will say is this. So the technology that you're going to see on the streets, you're going to see infrared. Okay, you're going to see
Mm,
thermal.
mm-hmm.
Okay, you're going to see advanced body armor.
Right.
You're also going to see advanced munitions that are designed to pierce body armor. So
Right.
40 years ago, that was cutting edge technology that the military was using. Now those things are readily available on the streets. So when you start looking at things like that, that is a game changer completely.
And Max, let me
Okay.
tell you something real
So
quick. Let me tell you something real quick, Max. real quick, we also got to bring up those drones because they definitely enhance those things as they was testing them over there, overseas. Those drones got
Yeah,
so advanced now. They're making them with little money now, and they're causing mass destruction. And like I said, the spies with the thermo, they can do anything with those drones now.
right.
And they're
Yeah,
and they're
so
testing them over there.
right. So we just need to be aware of that about in terms of what we're going to be up against because if you get a person that's out there with a thermal scope in the middle of the night, he can be up
Right,
against 20 guys and they'll never see him and take a shot, especially if he
right,
understands how to run his suppressors. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there when the gentleman asked about the technologies. So again, those are the questions like, are we investing in thermal? You know,
right,
the other thing is, do we have organic masks? So do you
right,
know what type of a filter you need in the case of radiation?
right,
Maybe it's some type of acidic gas. Maybe it's a contagion. Those things are available, but the question is, are people investing in those types of things? And those are some of the other ones I'm talking about. Like, maybe you got to look at, okay, well, maybe not everybody, but there needs to be, those types of technology within the group. So you don't necessarily have,
right.
five things that are infrared, but one person, especially who's doing a lookout, if it's dark, you're not going to be able to see anything. And I'm saying that because on our homestead, trust me, it is completely, totally, unequivocally pitch black out there. And so when we
Right.
started getting attacks from our animals and stuff, we couldn't, if we didn't hear a certain screaming, we didn't know what was going on, right? So we had to invest in the IR to say what's moving around out there. But without it, we were completely blind. So anyway, those are some other things that we need to think about because that
Yes, sir.
could give you a serious edge over whoever else is out there aside from
Right, right.
Hey, big facts, Max Noble, and still sharp and steel. But another piece of technology that I noticed that was needed probably more in the movie is you notice how the power was going in and out.
Right.
You you'll be lucky to have that happen, right? So having like standalone generation systems where you got your solar power and your battery banks, that way you still got power.
Right. Right.
very true. Again, that's another one of those investments. Getting some panels. Yeah, I've been experimenting with the solar panels for a long time, and let me tell you, it's amazing how efficient they are. It really is, especially for just some of your basic stuff. You know, running a little mini a refrigerator. Maybe someone in the family's diabetic, right? And that medication may have to be kept at a certain temperature, or whatever it may be. So things don't spoil. And there's some pretty inexpensive solutions out there that you could literally run a refrigerator off grid and do it pretty efficiently. So yeah, alternative energy sources, whether you got access to propane or a combination of propane and um, um, your solar panels. And I just say kind of get while the getting's good. Learn how to set those things up. There's other things you can use as well, like alternators, right? To be able to get power sources if it's needed. Again, for people that may have critical items that need to be possibly stored or kept cool or whatever the case may be. So, or charging your radios and to be able to talk, right? Those things all run on batteries. So, um, yeah, I would definitely say those got to be on the top of your list. So, whatever forms you choose, that if you have identify a problem and you just figure out, okay, how are we gonna tackle our electricity issue through solar? Okay, well, let's go with a solar setup. Do we have access to maybe a huge tank where we got propane or gas? Whatever works for you. I just say, just hey, kind of figure a way around it, and and start moving toward that in terms of purchasing things and trying it out and see what works and what doesn't.
We're gonna end this with two questions. I got one question for you, Max, and one question for you, Ross. I'm gonna ask Max first, and then I'm gonna have you end it out. Okay, Ross, with my question for you. Okay.
So,
All right. First question for you, Max. For the people who don't believe this is real and their lifestyle so far as thinking this is a fear mongering thing or a scare tactic. What would you say to people like that? And what is the importance of what we're doing and what we're trying to do? All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man. That's a tough one, right? I'll just say this: I've talked to a lot of people, and I've approached it from a religious perspective, right? I mean, I can take you to scriptures and show you what's going on, whether it's in Deuteronomy 28 chapter. We can talk about Genesis 15:13. We can go to Revelations 2:9, 3:9, and it's difficult if they're not woke. It's hard. It's very difficult. One of the things I do though is I do try to encourage them sometimes to just participate in one thing. Like, when's the last time you shot a gun? Come on out here. We'll do some gun training. Uh, do you know how to garden? Ever grown anything? Nope. Okay. Oh man, our goat just had some babies. Can you want to come down here and you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, right? That we got to dangle candy, now and bubble gum to get those folks, and the numbers, unfortunately, it's just really small, and that's why I say if they haven't woke up, then it's a very difficult task. So I try to use that time and energy, right, to connect with, the folks that are on the phone, you know, and it's amazing how deep the connections go. The brother that spoke earlier, Sar, I did a training with him. This is last year. So when I
Oh
heard him
wow.
talking, I said, that brother sounds familiar. Yeah, he sounds
Wow.
familiar. And here we go, right? So, like minds, we think very similar. The only difference is that he trains with hands, I train with steel. So we don't necessarily agree on that philosophy, but that's fine. But our minds
Right.
brought us here. You see what I'm saying? So
That's
I
right.
would just say for those folks that do not have that connection, if you can bring them in and they can glean, that's fine. Uh, but otherwise, or invite them to calls like these, right? I've invited some
Right.
folks to this call. I don't know if they came on or not, but you see what I'm saying? Like if you're not willing to do the very basics,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I mean, you can't you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I think that what we're doing when we have our gatherings, right? When I saw some of them videos y'all posted of the training in Carolina, I was, man, I'm telling you, boy, you don't understand. I was hyped. That
Y-
hyped me up. The visual, give us those visuals. So it's
Yes, sir.
again, it's important for our people to see those types of things, right? So I would just say, hey, we talk to them, we help them to see the vision, visualize it, but also I give them the downside, and I speak very plain about it. I said, listen, I've been in this, I've seen it, I know how bad it can get, and hey, we love you, we care about you, we need each other, we don't want you to fall victim to this. So can you take one step? Can you take one and a half step and just be there to try to be an encouragement and pray for
Right.
them? I yield.
Right. And it's crazy for everybody to decide to do right when chaos comes and pandemonium. But the problem is everybody, usually during that time it'll be too late. If you're not prepared, you become a bigger enemy than the oppressor because all you're going to do is be a savage, steal and take from everybody because you don't have nothing you're prepared. You become just
Right,
as evil as anybody outside. So,
right,
and I was reading it somewhere, saying how to be a good guy in the apocalypse, apocalyptic time or a time of chaos and civil unrest is being prepared, having your stuff together. And those be the good guys because they don't need to be evil because they got everything. You know what I mean? Or got the collective, got their community together, got their people together, got their resources. But this is the
Right. I
time
mean,
right now to prep.
right. I mean, think about the movie Leaders World Behind, right? The guy that
Oh yes,
initiated violence was the one with the Bentley. He was the one with the
right,
house, right? And I
right.
think you're exactly right. The one dude was like, "Hey, I'm here with my family. We're good. We're relaxed. You guys have a nice life, right?" And because he started panicking, right? Again,
Became the most diabolical.
there it goes. That's right. So where you lay your money, right? Where you put that's where your treasure is. And he treasured that
Right,
Bentley, and he treasured that house. And at the end of the
right.
day, if it isn't painfully obvious to us, this stuff is all going to crumble very, very soon. I mean, it's crumbling now,
Mm,
and it's not going to mean a lot. So, again, woke people understand that. But for the other folks, I'm telling you, I see them every day. It's absolutely amazing that these folks don't have a care in the world. They really don't. And you're right; those are the ones you have to watch out for. And from our perspective, you got to have your mindset already on your limits, what you will or won't do. You just simply have to have it. When COVID was a test for us, and I got to the point I said, look,
mm-hmm,
you can't come within 5 feet of me. I don't care who you are. You
mm-hmm,
cannot come within 5 feet of me. If we have another contagion, which they're out there now, these flus and bird flus and stuff, again, people have to start thinking about that again,
mm-hmm,
right? And your limitations. And when do you pull? And when do you run? And you know where your exits are? And how close are you
mm-hmm.
going to let people get to you before you start moving and let them know that you see them? For someone like myself who's been through, I'm just putting out, I've been through carjackings, I've been shot at. You better learn quick. You better learn quick.
Mm-hmm.
You better learn quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I yield.
Um, Chris, I'd like to ask you this question. During a time like this, can you tell everybody the importance of unification? Can you tell everybody the importance of coalition building and how it's essential to our survival?
It's paramount. It's paramount, absolutely. And also to your first question, to that I would say to that individual, I would say I hope for their sake that they are correct. But if they are incorrect, the stakes are too high. You rather be the warrior in the garden at peace or the gardener in the middle of war, getting ready to lose his mind and probably his soul. So everybody can't do everything. Everybody's not going to be that warrior. And that's the key importance in unification. For one, unification is going to strengthen the warriors. But two, that's going to give the other individuals, the family members, like the other comrade was talking about the 9-month-old. Some people would say that's a liability. But if we're unified in a strong manner, we got our own community that you can't even get past A, B, or C defense to get to the green zone where the actual
Right,
families lay their head.
right,
They don't even see the drama. So they're not a liability because they're not on the front line. They in the protected zone.
right.
And the comrade, I know some might say, man, you get a bad album or somebody with a bad mindset, they could be like a cancer or a disease, but consider this. What does a cancer or a disease do in a weak body versus a strong, healthy body? Because in that strong, healthy body, that cancer, that disease, that's not going to survive.
Right.
So sometimes you gotta nurture the soil in which you plant your seeds. Because we want to create the environment where even if we got a negative element that makes it among us. Our programming, our ship is so tight that they won't have no choice but to fall in line. Because our body will reject that.
Right.
But that's all I got, guys.
And the Conrad Bomani Shakur is on here too as well, the George Jackson University. Uh, are you still there, Comrade? Bomani, you there?
Free line. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, man?
Would you like to close us out with some wisdom, Comrade?
Well, I'm actually just listening and observing. I came on late, right? I also looked at the movie myself on this app called Young Radio Pro. It's a Young Radio Pro on
Okay.
some app up there, Mid Hut, right?
Right.
The app is a free. The app is a free app, but if you want to live screen the app to your TV and cash it, you had to pay the plan, which is like $5 a month, right? But other
Right.
than
Right.
that, you
Right.
got on your tablet, wherever you download it on, right?
Right.
Um, yeah. And the movie real interesting, man. I checked it out, see what the hell they were talking about, and basically, the assessment you were giving about the White House aspect, that that's what was going on, how they killed the president,
Yes, sir.
and also like some of the things they were talking about in regards to like California, when Trump was talking about California need to be split into three places and Texas and
Right.
things like that. So that based some of the things that came to reality about the situation. So it basically like
Right.
a call saying that we understand that the Constitution said that you can overthrow us, but are we gonna let that go down like that?
Right. Right. Yeah,
You know,
like you said, just further thinking about it, I think that was the message for real. As I'm talking to y'all guys, I think that was the
yeah,
message, you know?
because it actually was a lot of things that took place prior to the Civil War. That it actually was a war that took place on a plantation between the Europeans against each other. You know,
Right.
and also let us say situation in regards to John Brown, other situations took place in the Midwest and other situations, right? So they basically like a repeat of history in regard to what's going on per
Mm-hmm.
se. And like
Right.
Conrad Freedom was saying that they always put things on a television, what I'm saying, have particular messages. And basically why they put it on television because they want us to think that this stuff is not possible, it's not going on, and that it's fictional. But in all their reality, it's something they always think about. It's like a subliminal message. They put things, okay, that's a suggestion. We're gonna suggest that it's not real, so y'all don't go for this, and y'all think about other things, and y'all get information from us and believe what our resource is, and not do your own research or not getting your own spirit behind things, right? So it's just like
Right.
everything got propaganda, man, some bullshit. But y'all got to be aware of the propaganda, because propaganda have a negative connotation to it forever because we think everything is propaganda for the end, but propaganda is how you promote yourself, how you promote your interests in regard to the
Yes,
people and the
sir.
information you share, right? So it's a dual, uh, it shows a dual purpose of it in regards to the person who will it, the individual who will it has a positive, negative aspect to it, depending on what they're trying to achieve and accomplish in regard to what they present, right?
Right.
And what I want to say is that in regards to all this that taking place and the various moves, New African Independent Black Regime, Pan African move, so forth and so on, right? It's on us to not to play the blame game, but it's on us to take accountability in regard to what we do, and it's
Yes,
also
sir.
on us to be the change we want to see, right? So everything else, what I'm saying, and the best way to do all this is what I'm saying, we can use this as a stamp, we can use this as a bridge, so to speak. But our
Right.
main objective is to be offline and be in person, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm.
Being able to talk and feel each other. Being able to
Mm-hmm.
to drink with each other, share each other thoughts, get to learn who your comrade is, get to learn who who your affiliates is, get to learn who your allies is, offline, man, because
Right.
uh, as we look at it, it was foretold by the anarchists like over 30 years ago. They said that social media gonna be an impediment to everything we do, right? And that's
Right.
exactly what it has become. It has become an issue. You see all this propagation going around, all this throwing out this bullshit in regards to like these weird ass challenges and all these sexual deviant stuff, all these drug users and people talking about using mushrooms and all the deity and stuff that boost their spiritual and mental powers and all these weird ass stuff. People talking about suns and moons and
Right.
these gods and
Right.
this shit ain't gonna say. You gotta say yourself, all the weird ass stuff, right? Then
Right.
so we got to be aware of that, man. We got to be aware of those things and go out and educate ourselves. Education not always just about who's a scholar. Education about informing people in regard to what's going on. You can
Yes,
educate
sir.
a person about anything. It's not about being no scholar, about being no brainiac. It's about getting people the
Right.
right information so they can utilize that to survive in this world, man. It's about survival, man.
Yes, sir.
The little bit I heard so far about the conversation for individual was a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful thing, man. So it's always good to keep that momentum and push forward, man. And like Conrad George say, long live the gorilla, man. A gorilla
Yes,
is an
sir.
individual. A gorilla doesn't have to be an individual a part of formation. A gorilla can be an individual that use guerrilla warfare as a lifestyle, as a combat system. As a way to conduct his or herself, right? And we already know we at war, so there's nothing wrong with being a gorilla. There's nothing wrong with using your environment to survive. There's the only reason people around you survive. And then you're only using things around you to survive in regard to the conflict of war we call life, right? So there's nothing wrong
Right.
with that, man. I'm gonna say free the
Right.
land, man.
Free the land. Everybody, free the land. Thank
Free
y'all
the
for
land,
having.
free the
Thank.
land.
Salute to the George Jackson University, George Jackson Grassroots Collective, and all the other formations out there. Let's network. Let's build. Free the land.